for the final game.
Enjoy the best.
Oh, I can hear someone. It's Trouble. Can I hear Trouble?
Oh, God.
We don't want to be hearing Trouble. Maybe she says something sensitive, secret information. Who knows? It is the final game of this LEC Super Week, and we have swapped out Trouble for Febiven for this one. And we are about to cover a growing rivalry here in the LEC between Rogue and the MAD Lions. A little bit of background, of course, Nymaera. The new blood organizations, let's put it that way, because it's not necessarily all new blood players.
No, of course, because we've had some of these players been around for a little while now. Now, some of the players who were the hallmarks of these matchups have now gone on to different teams. You know, Humanoids now left the MAD Lions, gone on to Fnatic, Inspired obviously went over to NA. But these teams and these rosters have continually kept themselves now in contention and have had some great series between each other. This is the new era rivalry of the LEC.
Love it. You've used all the buzzwords that we need you to, so you can stay. But Febiven, MAD Lions so far, they are 2-0 this week. Over Vitality and over SK. They've got Nisqy coming in. What has been your overall impression about how he has elevated that roster?
I'm just very impressed by how they're, not just Nisqy, but just all of them together, like how they are team fighting is like they're collapsing so well. I remember yesterday there was one fight where they were collapsing around the dragon and like everything seemed, they played very clean. I think it was a 5-0 team fight. And it's just, this one exactly. And it's just nice to see that all of those kind of, like the veterans know exactly what to do, and I'm sure that it's very clear in comps. And this fight looks very organized and just well executed.
Well executed team fights while behind certain amounts of gold. Where have I heard that before? It seems to be that, it seems to be that classic kind of hallmark again of this team coming back. Now, it took a bit of a break in spring when MAD Lions kind of struggled to get things rolling, but as we kind of talked about throughout the day and throughout this week, we're starting to see a trend upwards. Now that trend has to stay around, but it's looking good so far.
Oh yeah, I think that this kind of in terms of what you want out of a first week with your new roster, it works very well. Nisqy will also be joining us on Euphoria next Wednesday. That'll be a lot of fun. So let's talk a little bit about this mid lane matchup and also parlay that into how Rogue has been doing. They are 0-2. Now they have played Fnatic and G2, so it's kind of a different caliber of teams that they have played. Febiven, what do you think about, one, this mid lane matchup, and two, Rogue as a whole so far?
Yeah, I've played against these guys so many times. It's actually very funny that I, played against these guys so many times, and when I think about it, like how they play and like how different they are. So from Larssen, it's like this guy is a more carry-oriented, like kind of 1 versus 9 player who is like looking to look for advantages in lane and playing like the more aggressive champions like Azir and like just poking there.
Wait, you're blowing my mind right now because all we ever say about Larssen is that he's so controlled and that he's so this
No,
and
but
that.
he surprisingly plays actually like one of the most aggressive lane phases in the league. I think Caps is a little bit more aggressive, but then besides Caps there is Larssen that plays the most aggressive, and then there's Humanoid. But for Nisqy, he plays more controlled for the team. Yesterday picked the Swain, so like more team-oriented a little bit.
Yeah, that's why we need outside people to come in, because to put us in our place. But to be fair, we've also said the same thing about Larssen in the beginning. We were always, he's the sure thing. He's never going to set a foot wrong, but that means he's also not going to set a foot forward when needed. And I think over the years we've seen that as his confidence has grown, he has been that factor for Rogue.
And I think in spring that was a huge boon to his team, where it was the consistency, but then the level up from that was particularly between him and, of course, the huge experience of Odoamne. The solo lanes of this team of Rogue were so good when you gave them the agency in these later game team fights. That's why actually we do see a lot of those control mages coming in from Larssen. It's just so easy to land that knockout punch when you get to those couple of items and come into these team fights. The meta now lends itself to that, but they haven't hit the ground running just so far. So if we're going to see them win today, I'd love to see them again give that agency to the solo laners so they can start having these fantastic team fights we know they can do.
I was talking about the most aggressive mid laners, but I forgot Perks. He's also he's like also like the one that's like trying to stab you out of lane at all times.
He's not going to tweet at you. It's fine. You've covered him. No, but I like that you say that, because I think it's very easy for us to be like, oh, if you pick an Akali, then surely you're this kind of player of this and that. But you can play different iterations of player depending on how you pilot your champion, right? Now, for Rogue so far, as said, they weren't able to win a game. And what was maybe a bit concerning, although I think overall we shouldn't be too concerned, is the fact that in those 2 games, it was both off kind of a misplay. One thing went wrong, and the House of Cards fell. And that's not something I usually equate equate with Rogue?
Well, maybe it's a return to Rogue time. Maybe that's what we're thinking about, because, you know, this is a team which, in iterations past, had a couple of times in the mid-game where they couldn't quite stick the landing. They get a bit directionless in mid-game, and it felt like, particularly in this game, it's very visible, that single play where they took those Hex Gates in, made things fall apart fairly quickly, and it seemed like they couldn't quite get everything on the same page. This play, another great example of kind of showing where they try and go for this engage, they overreach, it's just Malrang on the Wukong, doesn't actually end up landing that knockout punch, and that becomes very difficult then after that point when they're playing off of losing scenarios.
Yeah, in the first game, there was a clear situation where they were hex getting in the enemy jungle, and then their Kalista was recalling. And obviously, at the highest level, if you have your AD carry in base, you're not going to win the fight. And then the second game against G2, I mean, what can you do?
What can you do? We have a bit of a delay on stage, which is fine. That means we can talk. About Rogue then overall, we say for some of the younger players or the newer players, I shouldn't always use young, but newer players, about the stage that the jitters might get to them a little. Even though it's not in the same vein, it's still a learning curve, I think, for Trymbi and Comp together as well. Trymbi was very vocal also after the final, specifically saying, "Oh, I messed up when I shouldn't have." So this is something that is only going to improve. And
you know, Trymbi was very open about that, and you know, I mean, very different experience for me. But heck, I was in front of a crowd for the first time the other day. I was like, wow. It doesn't always come across in that sense. Now, Trymbi had his first experience in front of the pyrotechnics on stage with explosions in front of him and playing against an
Pyro, is he back to cast? I know.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
But you know, there was such a large amount of craziness happening there that, of course, it can rock you. It can take a little while to settle into that. Then, of course, they had the break over MSI, have to get back into that kind of momentum again. Now they have to, again, get into the motion of things and see what they can do on this new stage environment.
Yeah, I guess, Febiven, you have like other teams around you who, you know, here we could speak of a honeymoon phase, maybe for the Mad Lions. We have an Excel who went to Korea and got all that confidence, etc. For Rogue, do you give them the leeway because of what they've shown in previous regular seasons to stumble a bit in week 1?
No, I think that, I mean, if you are Rogue, right, and you are consistently finishing top 2, then all you want is to have a great start and just snowball that start into like a amazing run, right? And like, you never know what those, let's say they go 0-3, you never know what happens. Like maybe one player completely actually goes mental boom, and it's not even a meme, it can actually happen, and then it can snowball into the rest of the people, you know? So it's like bouncing back from 0-3 can be very difficult for some players or even the coaching staff.
Yeah, but there is a silver lining where it did feel like at certain points, some regular season teams, I'm thinking of, obviously, Rogue were very dominant last split. I'm thinking back to, heck, even in NA, Immortals had a very strong regular split, and it feels like there were times where in history, these very dominant teams peak too early. They peak too early, and they find their way. They find their way into the meta, but because they're winning so much, we saw 9-0 Rogue. We've seen undefeated splits from teams, and they've gone on to kind of.
So you're saying this is a good thing?
I'm saying it's a silver lining. I'm saying if there is improvement and they peak, maybe that peak comes at a better time. Because last split, midway through, they had that 9-0. They couldn't actually get it beyond that point. And I know that Odo was saying on PGL, and they're like, "Hey, actually, we wanted to. Well, maybe this loss was good for us, not wanting to lose, but these losses were good because we can learn more from them. If you peak too early, you don't get that.
Finals loss, not good.
Yeah.
All other losses. Good, possibly. We'll see indeed. I saw Odo was smiling on stage, so I'm sure he's very excited. And I think there is something to be said for the strength of schedule, right? They ran into a very strong Fnatic on day 1, a very strong, obviously, G2. Yesterday, Mad Lions beat SK in the end. So there are opportunities here. They beat SK entirely, though, so you could bring up something there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a lot of discussions with players, like not necessarily in my own team, but also other teams, where we're saying that it actually might be better to lose in the beginning because you want to ramp up towards playoffs, right? But it is very important. Like if you go 0-3, but you actually completely switch your mindset and your playstyle, and you actually can bounce back from that, and you learn more than the other teams. It's only 1 week. It's week by week by week, and like it's such a small time period that the team that goes 3-0 might be like, okay, we have the right read on the meta, and we're not going to change anything. But then the team that has lost already has like.
The medic did say something crazy. He was like, the Super Week, these are 3 games, so I'm not going to do math on air, but it's like, it's a big percentage of your season, actually, the Super Week.
Yeah, because you have 18 games overall.
Don't try and do
That's a seventh, I think. Yeah.
I don't know. The stage is ready, so we don't have to speculate anymore. We can go over to K. Edic. Oh no, it's Vedius actually. Sorry, over to the casters. Oh, Super Week. Wow.
It's tough, Sjokz. It's tough. It's a 6th. I'm pretty sure Nymaera knew it was a 6th, and he was just memeing that it was a 7th of the games.
You're just protecting everyone today, aren't you, Medic, huh?
I can throw you under the bus for things if you want. Like, I don't mind.
All right, let's talk a little bit about today's game. Because
Let's
obviously they talked a lot about the strengths and weaknesses of going 0-3, 1-2, 3-0, all that jazz. But
I will
at the
say,
end of the day,
3-0 is the strongest of those.
yes, the reality is both of these teams want a win. And there is a long-standing rivalry between these two organizations, so both of them want to get the edge over the other.
Groovy. It's funky.
Yeah.
MAD, of course, on the blue side for the first time here in summer. They've won both their games on the red side, currently undefeated. Rogue have lost 1-1 on either side of the rift. Historically, it is 12 wins to MAD, 13 to Rogue. So MAD could equalize that right now.
Ooh.
The most balanced matchup we have in the LEC.
We did talk about that rivalry. It was kind of like Fnatic G2, very big rivalry, but Rogue MAD, especially when they were both fighting top of the table. Of course, this was last year's final in spring rather, not in summer. But yeah, these teams have a long history against one another. And with the return of Nisqy, all eyes are on him right now. He's had an incredible debut in his return here in Summer Split, and I'm curious as to what he will get his hands on. His bans are very quickly coming through. Focus already onto Unforgiven Zeri. He will be forced to play a different champion. So far, 2 games. So far, 2-0. Comp bringing out both the Kalista and the Aphelios. Aphelios yet to be removed, but Lucian. Ooh, Baron, MAD Lions. Ornn was another pick that I was going to bring up, mainly because it is something that will be contested between the two teams. Odoamne has prioritized blinding it so far throughout the weekend, whereas MAD Lions did bring out once with the Braum removal. It does suggest to me that both these teams could be looking at it. Perhaps it could be something else in the support role as well. Something like the Nautilus could be a consideration here for the MAD Lions. If the assumption is that Comp will head towards the Ezreal, perhaps a Kaiser Nautilus is something that they think about drafting for themselves.
Definitely something that gives you chase potential on towards that back line. Rogue looking for the comfort that is Comp's Ezreal, something he's very comfortable on. Larssen on the Azir, no real surprises there. Something he's made his name on over the years. I'm just going to have a quick look. I think it's his most played. It is. Across his career, he has a lot of games on it, 40 out of his 255 games that he's played.
Just a few then.
Yeah, just 40 of them.
Oh, okay. Very different direction. I talked about the Kaiser, who gives more of a scaling element, whereas Draven gives you a dominant element in terms of lane dominance. This is a champion that wants to get in your face, wants to fight. They will be pairing that up with the Nautilus, with the Braum removal. I'm curious as to what direction Rogue will go for, because they themselves banned the Yuumi. Wow, a very aggressive 2 versus 2 bot lane. A lot of pressure being put on Unforgiven. But Rogue, they're just kind of like, it seems that they want to make sure they get themselves comfort picks. Are they really going to lock in? Okay, they're going to go for the Gangplank. Something that we don't typically see from Odoamne, for the record. When you think back throughout his career, this is not a champion that he typically goes towards. This is something that he's been practicing a lot recently, if anyone's ever tuned into his stream.
Watched him play it this morning.
Yeah. So Rogue going for more of a teamfight comp. I will say Gangplank does very well into low mobility AD carries, and that's not to say that Draven with his Spood Beast from his speed boost on his W has a lot of movement speed, but he doesn't quite have the dashes. And when you don't have those, things like the Gangplank ultimate can be a massive hindrance. And you can see range is the name of the game here for Rogue. You have Azir with a lot of long-range poke, you have Ezreal with a little long-range poke, and then you have the Gangplank ultimate on top of that. A lot of zone control when it comes to setting up around these objectives, whereas MAD Lions right now is all about getting in your face, forcing those engages. So I wouldn't actually be surprised to see an Ornn banned away from the side of Rogue. And I think the Renata ban here is very smart for MAD Lions, because they're very much on the
bandwagon of we want to start fights, we want to get in your face, and removing. And Renato is a very good champion at dissuading them.
That's the reason the Brawn Band is there as well. Very good at disengaging. Not too many champions left that can do that. Janna is something that always springs to mind when you talk about disengaging the support role, and Trymbi very well known for his Enchanter play. Gwen and Jace taken away from the top lane, so MAD Lions can still look to the Ornn if they want, but that gives Gangplank a much freer lane up towards that top side. Means that he can just farm up and become that late game monster that he often is. Here, MAD Lions looking for their final ban. Could still go towards the support. Could look to get rid of a jungler as well if they wanted Malrang just to be a little bit deeper into his pool. But things like the Viego still available for him if he wants it. Could go for the Jarvan as well, something that gives you a little bit more gank threat.
Well, I will say right now that's what Rogue is lacking, a reliable form of engage. If they go for Lux here, this would actually give Rogue a pretty powerful bot lane 2 versus 2, a lot of range at your disposal. It would tie in already with a lot of the poke that Rogue have drafted for themselves, but this is where that engage will come from, off the back of Malrang on his Volibear. Last season, he was the jungler that made stuff happen in the early game. He played a lot more for his lanes. He was very proactive in the early game. He was very much about getting kills for his team. But the one thing I did want to mention in the second phase of bans was they focused on banning away top laners, but they didn't ban away mid, so Nisqy has kind of the pick of the litter here.
Ooh,
he's choosing
Zoe,
to go
okay.
for the Zoe. Kind of off theme of the composition they've decided to draft for themselves, but in terms of the matchup does very well. One of the few champions that can actually outrange Azir. And then of course Armut, very well known for his Gnar, not too surprising to see that one come out. Will be able to follow up, assuming he has the Mega Gnar alongside any engages that MAD Lions will have. But overall, you can see a pretty stock standard teamfight comp with a lot of crowd control and single target CC at their disposal. So overall, not too far from what we've been seeing from the MAD Lions so far this weekend.
And Rogue looking towards perhaps the Taric pick in the bottom lane.
I think this would be great.
It's so good at disengaging. And it looks like, instead it's Rakan. Okay, I was wondering about Rakan. The problem with Rakan in the laning phase here is into Nautilus is not the best, and into Draven it's not the best. Like, you get knocked to the side, you get hooked, it's very difficult for you to weave your magic, but later on it gives you follow-up engage alongside the Volibear, or even initial engage if you want to quickness and then flash forward looking for a pick.
Yeah, I think that if they've gone for the Taric, then the problem with Rogue's comp is their engage is a little bit weaker. However, your disengage is even stronger. So every time MAD try to engage onto you, you have a lot of tools at your disposal. By going for the Rakan, you lean more towards once the poke has landed, you have more ways to start off the fight. And I will say that Trymbi so far has had 2 Renata games. When we think of Trymbi as a player, sure, he's played a fair number of Enchanter supports, but I think he's most well known for his engage supports. It was champions like his Rakan, his Nautilus, his Elyoya that he was actually more well known for and actually has a lot more comfort on. So seeing him back on that is something that I think can help Rogue when they're trying to fight for their first win of the split.
It's currently sitting at 0-2 MAD on the other side of that coin. 2-0 so far. In the mid lane, we have a matchup between the most played of these 2 players. Nisqy sitting at 37 games on the zone. Let's go Odo, Sniffer. 2 sniffers in the chat, I'm sure, as well.
For those that don't know, I don't know why.
Yeah, but it's an Odo spam. It's just an Odo spam. Let's get into the game. MAD versus Rogue.
You know The Rock had that saying, what's The Rock cooking?
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? Can you smell?
Is that what it is?
What The Rock is cooking, yeah.
So you could say the same thing for Odoamne.
Can you smell? Or can you sniffer?
Exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't really work.
Can you
You need the
sniffer?
GIF. Otherwise, it's just us saying the word sniffer, which isn't even a word.
I don't even know what the GIF looks like.
It's like a little dog smelling.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Right, well, I'm sure someone smarter than us will come up with some type of catchphrase that Odo can have. But yeah, he's a big... I was in his chat this morning and he was telling his chat to sniffer me, which, you know, I don't really know what that means, but it's an internet thing, I guess.
Yep, it's an Odo thing.
It's an Odo thing. In any case, a ward has been placed in the mid lane.
A few of them have been placed around.
Yep, I can bring up the minimap. We can highlight them. I suppose that is my job. 1 in the river, 1 in the mid lane. That means that a sweeper has been picked up by Trymbi. Nothing too surprising, nothing too uncommon, mainly for a bit of information. Of course, one of the things that Wukong can do, and I'll bring the minimap back up once again, is he can start on this, and then he can use his little jump over the wall thing to go here, and then he can steal away the blue buff over here. So having that ward just gives you a little bit of insight in case this cheeky monkey is up to anything cheeky. But it looks like nothing too crazy is going to happen in this early game.
Nisqy with the sleep onto Larssen gets a bit of extra damage, obviously amplified by that sleep. Nisqy winning the early trades, both of them going Corrupting Potions in this mid lane. Malrang has a control ward on that Volibear. You don't really need too much sustain from potions, so just going for a single pot control does make sense. Kaiser pushing forward here, hook's gonna land. Only onto Trymbi, and the Guardian will be enough just to keep him stacked up. Trymbi dashes back forward. It's a beneficial trade for Mad Lions in terms of total health, but Unforgiven was the one receiving the damage for Mad.
So last game, we saw what Ezreal Nami can do and how it has a lot of trading and poking power. This time round, you see what Ezreal can do when he has a Rakan in his lane, which is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all.
So you just get bullied around. I'm not too surprised that already Unforgiven and Kaiser are able to get that push. And so they will be playing on the weak side of the map early on into the game. Odoamne on the Gangplank could be the strong side. Of course, the annoying thing about Gnar is early on especially, you do have that range advantage, and you can get easily kited as the Gangplank. So for the time being, he will be stacking up this wave. You can see that a slow push is starting to mount. With Malrang on his way, he's going to have to cover Odoamne as he looks to get that push down, especially with Elyoya hovering around the top side of the map. He has the level advantage for the time being. We've got to keep our eyes on these junglers. Hang on, a bit of trading in the bot lane.
Trymbi can dash back out of this. Didn't quite land the knock-up. Unforgiven with the extra movement speed from the Bloodlust. Was able to get away from that one. So Trymbi trying to just get a bit of damage down where he can. He knows that they're not going to win out the prolonged trades here. And with the wave pushing in, if you can chunk out that Draven, gives you a bit of an easier time. Elyoya and both the junglers on the top side of the map. But Elyoya through his clear quicker because he skipped the Crux. Means that he's able to get that top side Scuttle Crab.
Let's have a look. Malrang will likely spot this one out as he makes his way towards it. This both covers Odoamne on the dive. I say dive. Covers Odoamne for a potential gank, and it will give Malrang information. Okay, the whole top side's been cleared. This could indicate, of course, well, I mean, the expectation should be that because he did the top crab, Elyoya is now resetting and pathing back towards bot. He's actually looking for a gank in mid lane. Can we toggle the vision observers? I want to see what if Nisqy can see.
He definitely can now.
Yeah, he definitely can now. Yeah, I think that Malrang was just sitting outside the fog of war, and Nisqy recognized, hang on a minute, I could be ganked soon. Yeah. This is a very real gank timer, so I'm just going to disengage. But you'll notice Malrang going to path towards, make his way through mid, secure himself the bot crab. With the bot wave bouncing back towards the tower, it should be relatively safe for him to do this. And of course, Nisqy just basing as well gives him that added security. So nothing too crazy happening in the early game. Both junglers pretty even in farm. Larssen has a slight CS lead, and the bot lane dead even as well. So things going according to plan for both sides for now.
Only difference is obviously Elyoya has already had his reset down towards that bottom lane. Looks like Odoamne's reset and TP'd back up to top as well with the Sheen. Elyoya on a ward here. The wave pushing in. Larssen was trying to get this underneath the tower. Malrang can't really cover him. Larssen flashes away from the flash forward by Nisqy. Of course, Nisqy can then spell thief that flash and have another one, but the wave will get underneath this tower, meaning that Larssen doesn't actually lose. Oh, will it get underneath the tower? Might be held just outside of it. Yep.
But I think it should be fine. Yeah, that's going to bounce back, I'm pretty sure. The range creeps are a little bit too low, so this should mount up a slow push. And he's going to TP back into the lane anyway. But good vision control all across the board when you look at it from what Mad do have. They have these 2 wards invested here. They also have control over the river and this 1 ward to the entrance, which means that Larssen should be pretty safe. And on top of that, this should keep Odoamne pretty safe. So all across the board, Rogue, stable early game. They have a slight gold lead, and by slight, I literally mean slight.
It's like less than 100
less than 100,
now.
which basically means that the game is dead even. Elyoya will be spotted out. I'm pretty sure that if he uses his W on that Gromp, he'll actually know that he's spotted out by a control ward. Because normally when you're invisible, it's highlighted to you when you have been spotted.
Sure. Probably won't use his W on the Gromp though.
Probably won't.
Doesn't need to. Takes it. They know Elyoya is there. Malrang spotted as well on this ward. Nisqy smart enough to realize this is happening. Trymbi was looking for a gank as well. Nisqy stepping forward here, has the paddle star. Also has that portal jumping knight stolen away from the minions. And
I love Zoe.
chunked
I
out.
hope she wins.
I hope Zoe wins. She gets 7 free summoner spells in lane.
Level 6 there. She just picked up an Ignite, used it. And then Larssen, who had a clear health advantage, suddenly lower in health than Nisqy after he missed his E. Yeah, I love Zoe. Dragon going to be dropped as a result of that. Just like a really good trade in mids. They knew exactly where Malrang was. Unforgiven moves with this jungler to claim control over the river, and with the wave pushing in, Comp chooses to reset, but also Comp just can't fight this early on into the game. He's likely going to lose. You can see the BF sword already picked up for Unforgiven, means that he's just objectively stronger. Now Kaiser makes his way towards the mid lane. Malrang offering cover. This wave is in a bit of an awkward spot, but there's not really much Larssen can do about it, so he's likely going to be forced to base. Kaiser doing a good job of working with his jungler right now, knowing that Comp has already chosen to reset. Malrang's going to contest this though, doesn't have level 6, but Trymbi is here.
Larssen's coming as well, but Malrang's not going to be able to get there in time. Elyoya gets it. Hook going in, there's the sleep as well onto Malrang. Nisqy jumping across the wall, will be knocked up, but the portal jump still takes you back, so he's fine. Nisqy having a very strong start to the season, and a pretty strong start to this game as well. So far unkilled. Only him and Armut, the only 2 players in the league who have yet to give a death to the enemy team.
I think what's crazy is that kill participation number you see. Typically, mid laners average around somewhere between 60 and 70% of kills. Normally, in the early game, when you look at KP at 15, for example, there are players like Caps who can be heavily involved in a lot of early game kills, which is just an indication that typically they work with their jungler to roam around and look for these picks. But what this suggests is that when kills happen, Nisqy is often very involved.
Yeah.
And when we contrast that to last split, I think this is one of the biggest upgrades that Nisqy brings to his team. When you think of him as a player, he's known for his rise, he's known for his Twisted Fate, and basically he's known for being active on the map. And he's a very aggressive player that likes to be involved with things. So with his addition and the way in which he's working with Elyoya already, I think we're seeing a very clear difference. And the other stat to keep an eye out there was the jungle proximity.
30% jungle proximity is really high.
Is a very strong indicator of how much he actually works with his jungler, how much time he typically spends with his jungler. So MAD Lions already showing dramatic growth in the short space of time with a single roster change.
Elyoya didn't ping that control ward as he went over it. Now, he may have seen it and he's just making a beeline for this Rift Herald because they have the prio because of the reset coming out from Kaiser. He's up towards this top side quicker, so may know that that control ward's there. He was pinged by Rogue, so they know that he's there as well. Comp trying to get some tower plates down towards this bottom side. Odoamne has already picked up 1 towards the top, and this is MAD just investing a lot to make sure that there is no contest at that Rift Herald. Comp, of course, with the TP, could have like teleported to the mid lane or something, the turret, but instead just stays down towards that bottom lane. Keeps Unforgiven underneath his tower, and MAD Lions are able to secure the Rift Herald. There are about 1,000 gold behind now, though. It's extended from a small advantage to a pretty sizable one here for Rogue.
Well, yeah, good stuff from MAD. Hard to criticize them, really. They've been able to control all the early game objectives. They've leveraged their prio very well, and Rogue have just kind of been chilling for the time being. Obviously, the strength of their composition is the range and the scaling. We talked a lot last game about how Ezreal can be such a menace in the late game, but you've got Azir, Ezreal, and really the only person that can match their range is this Zoe. So objectives are going to be really important, and Rogue are primarily looking to play the patient teamfight game. And I think it's fine for them to do that. I imagine the third Drake is when they'll look to get the most aggressive, and Malrang just doing what he did in the early game, covering Odoamne as he stacks this wave and looks to the push. Because you look at that topside river, you can see all this vision that's been invested in Elyoya already looking for the play. This is exactly why Malrang is here.
Armut going in, there's the Gnar back cannon barrage, and Armut immediately flashes, gets the stun onto Malrang, who gets a counter stun out. There's the cyclone from Elyoya. Odoamne looking for the trade damage here. Odo very strong right now, but Nisqy's the first one to react. Elyoya with the double cyclone. Odoamne does have the flash. Paddle Star going in as well. There's the stun, the sleep. 1, 2 quick kills to MAD.
And it's just the mid diff. Nisqy is first on the rotation, and I think that Malrang does all the right things. They get a little bit flustered as to who to focus the moment that Armut flashes out, but the fact that Nisqy is able to join the fray as a fight happens in bot.
Knockup's going to come on to Comp here. Can jump away the Whirling Death, the flash forward. Trymbi with a great shield. Just keeping Comp alive. That was so close.
But a great engage comes out from the MAD Lions bot lane. They're going to force the flash out from Comp. No TP means that he can only really run in that situation. MAD Lions being aggressive across the board, and Nisqy once again finds himself involved in the action. So you have a look here, and it's important to look at the mid lane. Look, Nisqy's already roaming. He pushes in that mid wave and he makes his way towards the top side of the map. The ultimate comes through from Elyoya, and at this point you can see Odoamne is a little bit split. He's like, what do we do? Do we disengage? Do we try and turn onto Elyoya? And Elyoya is just having his way with them. Good ultimate from him. The re-engage then comes through from Armut, and Nisqy there to clean everything up. Of course, he doesn't secure any kills, but we talked about that kill participation stat.
100% so far this game.
Once again, Nisqy continues to get involved. Not going to result in a significant gold lead, but MAD Lions find themselves with first Herald, first Dragon, and first Blood.
and evens out the gold deficit that they were at. Second dragon of the game coming up in 8 seconds time. Elyoya is going to step towards it. Armut does have the TP. Odo doesn't have his. No cannon barrage for him either. Trymbi could look for something. It looks like Rogue just trying to gain control down towards this bottom side. Unforgiven playing very safe, very patiently. We'll see if he oversteps. That's a possibility. Trymbi stepping towards this tri-bush. Not warded for Mad. You can see Unforgiven.
In pro play, whenever you see that fog, you have to assume someone is in it. And Unforgiven doing a great job of respecting it.
Look at Nisqy again, man.
Already
The first to move.
I mean, he's getting that pro very quickly, and this is why when we talked about it in draft, Zoe typically does very well into Azir because you're one of the few champions that can challenge his range, and on top of that, your wave clear is just so fast. Look at how quickly she just eliminates the wave. Larssen doesn't even have a chance to clear a wolf before Nisqy's already cleared that one out. Gonna move with this jungler once again. We talked about that jungle proximity stat earlier. I've got to hold my point. There's Elyoya looking for a dive, but he's going to be forced to disengage. But this is where that high jungle proximity stat comes from. It's because Nisqy often leverages that pyro to group up with his jungler, and then they roam around the map together. And when you think back to the Mad Lion days of Humanoid, it was this mid-jungle support trio that often found a lot of success in the early to mid-game, and we're seeing it being replicated here by Nisqy. Huge props to him, huge props to the Mad Lions. That's another objective into their back pocket. As the timer drops as well, 12.5 minutes, 2 Drakes in their back pocket. They're going to drop the Herald before the timer runs out. Funnel more gold into Nisqy. Very little to criticize here from the Mad Lions. Rogue continuing to wait on that scaling, buy their time, and hoping to leverage their range later on. It will be this next Drake where I expect them to look for a fight.
You can see Elyoya, the only one on Rogue really with a sizable gold, on Mad Lions, only one on Mad Lions with a sizable gold lead. Nisqy about 300, 400 gold ahead in the mid lane, equal on CS, but those plates definitely helping him out alongside those 2 assists. The bot lane, Unforgiven, has been able to equalize a CS deficit that he was in earlier. He's kind of been left to his own devices down towards that bottom lane a lot of the time. We did see it a lot actually when he joined Mad Lions. He was kind of just by his lonesome. It's like, okay, you guys roam around. He played the Karthus. And Kaiser was very much trying to team up with Elyoya. Here now, though, they seem to have a third prong to that trident, with Nisqy always being in the right place. Trymbi's going to have to pop the quickness here. Will jump away, but wasn't going to escape unless he used that ultimate. Smart play by Trymbi to realize that quickly, and good play by Mad Lions to catch him out.
I will say that it is a bit concerning when you draft a Draven and you don't really invest in the Draven lane. Typically, there's a champion that you want to be snowballing off the back of. And when you think later on into this game, it's only going to get harder for the Draven to play. He is not the longest range AD carry. We already talked about the Gangplank ultimate, but then like playing into Azir and Ezreal, their range is just so difficult for him. Sure, in a front-to-back style, he can deal a lot of damage, but ideally, Rogue's composition only wants to engage once they've landed that poke, and I think it's important to recognize that, sure, Rogue have been not doing anything in this early game. They've been conceding objectives, they've not really been trying to force kills. A lot of what Malrang's been doing is just covering for potential ganks, and I think that when you look at the goal difference, things are still pretty good for them. They're ahead in CS in pretty much all 3 lanes. The only goal difference exists in the jungle, which is a result of the farm and the Herald as well. So I think Rogue is still in a very good spot. It's not too dire for them for the time being, and they are just being patient. They recognize that their scaling is good, and it's going to come down to these team fights where the teams will really begin to separate themselves.
And that's why I like the fact that Mad Lions went for such quick dragon forces, because that means that Rogue, when they have to fight the 3rd dragon, which is when you tend to fight if you've given up the first 2, won't be as strong as they would have been if this first dragon was a 10-minute dragon or an 11-minute dragon. Because it was so early and we're now only 2 minutes away from the 3rd dragon of the game, Rogue are only going to be at perhaps an item and a half or maybe 2 items at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And it will be a good window for Mad Lions to try and force this fight. But notice that Draven yet to complete his first major item.
He'll get there.
They will secure themselves the next Herald. And well, I will say also, Mad Siege is not the strongest either.
Yep.
They don't have an insane amount of utility. They're kind of relying on Nisqy to land poke, but fun fact, anyone that's ever tried to siege against an Azir knows that it's really anti-fun. And you kind of need these Heralds to break down that mid tower, and I want to see them invest it there so they can actually open up the map a little bit more, so they can contest towards space in the enemy jungle, and then if they can get that, then it becomes easier to play towards these side lane towers as well. As it will be Rogue to secure the first tower of the game.
And these guys are too respectful. Like, Rogue put 4 members down towards the bottom side. Odoamne is like, cool, I'm going to stand by the Krugs for a little bit. Hi, guys, how you doing? Unforgiven backs away, knowing he's not there. Now, Odoamne perhaps not respectful enough in the top lane. Cannon barrage coming out, and Elyoya and Armut catch him out.
Was not expecting Elyoya to be in the brush. Odoamne gets caught off guard. Armut goes into the Mega Gnar, uses the ultimate immediately. Odoamne then insta-flashes, but it's not enough to get him to safety. Even with that, though, you can see Rogue still find themselves with the gold lead.
You could say Odoamne didn't sniffer that one out.
Okay. Yes, they will still keep the tower alive as well, which is a little bit surprising. The dragon spawns in about 45 seconds. But let's have a look back at this one. So Elyoya, bit of alcove gaming here. Armut gonna hold the wave so that it doesn't spot out the jungler sneaking his way in.
And you can see Odo's being really respectful, and then Tri-Bush is warded, River Bush is warded. He's like, cool, I can step up now.
There's no reason for him to really suspect this as well, you know. And he tries his best to, if he's going to get ganked, in his head, he's like, I'm going to get stacked waved onto dive, and they're going to attack to the bottom. He wasn't quite expecting them to come through a lane gank. And also this Herald being used on bot lane, sure, it's a good cross map, gives them control over the third Drake of the game, which I guess is their priority, but this mid tower is still up and available, which will make sieging that much harder for the Mad Lions. Odoamne going to catch this wave in the bot side of the map, clear that out very quickly, get himself a plentiful bounty.
Rogue have given up the third dragon of the game by doing this, though. You can see Larssen down towards, up towards that top lane, doesn't have TP, no way for him to join this, so it will be 3 dragons to Mad, and it's an Infernal Soul as well. Like, it's not inconsequential. Something like a Cloud, perhaps you'd be more willing just to say, okay, we can't fight, but because they're not at those item spikes, maybe they decide against going for it, perhaps because Odo was caught and didn't have the cannon barrage as well. That big ultimate can be very impactful in a team fight. So now Mad Lions, 3 kills, 3 dragons, 18 minutes in. We're on a 23-minute soul clock. And for the rest of the game, Rogue have to look and wonder, can we deny that Infernal Soul?
This is actually really big. Props to Armut there, finding that window to secure that tower. Will equalize it, but also we talked so much about by taking down the mid tower, it gives you easier access into the enemy jungle, and I think that's super important, especially when we think about the dragon spawning in about 4.5 minutes. That will obviously be the objective that both of these teams are fighting for. Now the pressure really is on. The good news for Rogue is that Comp finds himself with 2 items completed. He has 150 gold bounty right now, and this Ezreal is going to start to be a menace. He's going to have a lot of damage at his disposal. Trymbi, though, going to be the one to face check. We'll be fine, though. Drops the ward in. That tower going to be the next objective for the Mad Lions. They should be able to secure this relatively uncontested. Larssen doesn't realize he's sitting on a ward right now. Now he'll figure it out.
If they wanted to stop this, they could have cannon barraged the wave. They decide against doing it, so perhaps didn't want to fully invest into it. Trymbi, though, walking straight into Elyoya, dashes away, but the paddle staff from Nisqy could come in, doesn't. Elyoya, though, still with a follow-up. The Cyclone going in, Trymbi dives onto Comp. Elyoya low, Malrang trying to get us Kaiser on the backline, but it's so split from Rogue. 4 different directions. Malrang now jumps forward, jumps back through the Gnar, dodges out. Nisqy going in, misses the true shot barrage there, and so Rogue just felt a little bit split on the call, and Mad Lions very willing to jump in and get another kill.
Yeah, they chose not to overcommit onto Elyoya as he now steals away this whole topside jungle, but you're quite right. Malrang joining the fray realized that it was going to be a while before the rest of his team could collapse. Let's have a quick look back at that before I continue to ramble on about it. So the tower drops, Larssen's catching the wave, Trymbi face checks, doesn't realize the jungle is there. Kaiser then tries to follow up, Lat misses the hook, the ultimate from Gangplank comes in. Then we see that Elyoya gets very low, but Comp doesn't have his E anymore, and he doesn't want to commit his flash, especially with Draven rotating from the mid lane. Malrang realizes it's in a 1v3, so chooses to ultimate away. But now with Odoamne and Larssen in a better position to fight, Malrang's like, well, I don't have anything left to re-engage, so I guess we have to disengage, and that then puts them in an awkward position to contest their topside jungle. So Mad end up getting away with murder there. They secure themselves a kill, they secure themselves some buffs, and they extend the gold lead ever so slightly. As
part of the issue as well, if Trymbi gets caught early on, if he's using all of his engage tools to disengage, well then you don't have any follow-up from Malrang going in. And Mad Lions 1,000 gold ahead, 2.5 minutes on the clock for the Infernal. And in these skirmishes, they're definitely coming out ahead right now. Comp, though, 2.5 items complete. Banshee's now complete on Larssen as well. He's very strong on this Azir, but you can't look past Nisqy with the Shadow Flame alongside that. Luden's Unforgiven still yet to complete his first major item, but he's on his way there. 544 adoration stacks on this man.
Bit of a Build-A-Bear there, isn't it? Slowly working his way towards a bit of everything. We'll see what he does decide to eventually complete. I hope he completes something ahead of the Drake spawning in 2 minutes. There it is. All right, so that will be his first item. The thing that concerns me about Larssen going for Banshees is I kind of understand why he's done it, but I feel like that he doesn't really need to.
Yeah.
I kind of would have preferred him to do a little bit more damage, but I guess yeah, I feel like that they have so many tools to disengage that...
If you're getting hit by a bubble, can't you just slide away? That's kind of the thought there.
Yeah, I think that there are only two things that he's afraid of. Number one, Zoe bubble. Number two, Kaiser's ultimate, right? I think that he's not too concerned about Gnar ultimate or whatever. But he's building out of respect to the potential of getting picked, which does mean that he's just going to have slightly less damage for the upcoming fight, which, like, going for the slightly more defensive approach, especially when your composition revolves so much around the range of both the Azir and Ezreal. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of. Not to say that the build doesn't make any sense at all, because obviously it does, but right now he's sitting in top lane. He's going to reset, spend the last bit of gold that he does have, has the TP up and available as the dance around this wave continues. Okay, mainly just using it for poke. He could have used that to help clear out this mid wave, which right now they don't have numbers on, which is going to give MAD easy access into the river. You can also see that they have the push in bot, so MAD now have full control. Azir now making his way down. Trymbi going to reset. Malrang being forced out of his jungle. The sleep's going to land.
Armut could chase this one in. They're trying to get the Stormbringer out if they can. There's the Everfrost, Boomerang across the wall, whirling death. There's the Stormbringer. And now Malrang doesn't have an easy way to get into this pit with the dragon spawning in 20 seconds time.
I just think that Rogue have just been a little too greedy there. Like, Larssen needed to get that extra wave in top. They didn't contest the wave in bot. Now they have control of a mid, but Nisqy leveraging his poke to force all that damage down onto Malrang is going to make accessing this river so difficult. Trymbi's going to be spotted out by Elyoya, and it's MAD with full control.
Trymbi was just looking for a really long flank there. Asking now, can we go? Bubble down, Larssen can step in. There's the quickness looking for Unforgiven. Kind of rush coming out as well, but Armut is keeping the rest of Rogue away. A two-man Gnar into the wall of the dragon will go over to MAD Lions. Elyoya smites it, Infernal Soul for MAD at 23 minutes. Larssen sliding in, Kaiser flashing out. Only one kill over to Rogue. That's not enough. They're looking for more as Odo steps in, but Nisqy keeps them at bay.
Just so much better setup around the objective from MAD. We see them secure cleanly the first 3 Drakes of the game, and they take the 4th relatively uncontested. Yes, they lose Armut's life, but huge props to MAD, and Rogue kind of in shambles now out of desperation. They're trying to force this Baron. Nisqy will have the teleport, but he's not going to invest it. He's on his way back. The Baron has begun.
I mean, Elyoya can get behind them here as well without even being seen. They can jump in with a blast cone. Maybe he's been seen. I don't see the pings. They're pinging on the Baron. They're going for it, but Elyoya! Every single objective belongs to the MAD Lions and belongs to Elyoya. The Whirling Death coming in for the chase, but it's an Infernal Soul and a Baron at 24 minutes for the Lions.
Rogue are completely...
Oh! That's the execute from the Whirling Death!
Unforgiven will cash out to boot. A completed collector off the back of that. Crazy damage. But let's have a look at this one. Elyoya, I'm not sure if he actually gets... I think Trymbi does just spot him out there. But let's have a look at this smite. If we could get the slow-mo, please, observers. 1,000... Oh, smite. Was it? It was his smite, right? It was his smite.
I think it was his smite, yeah.
But a clean steal comes out from Elyoya. You called it, Melik. Every single objective. And then the Whirling Death. Just look at the damage. Malrang. Oh, 1,800 gold into his back pocket. MAD Lions have just... Wow. They have just taken absolutely everything away from Rogue. Rogue looking like a shadow of their former selves as MAD Lions looking to go 3-0 in week 1.
The shambolic week for Rogue continues 0-3 to start off the LEC Summer. Obviously, they can still fight back in this game, but 5,000 gold behind with an Infernal Soul staring them down alongside that Baron for the next minute and a half. Kaiser's going to step in, spots Malrang with the Oracles. Tier 2 in the top lane is down. Odoamne trying to trade here onto Armut. Does win out on these ones. Armut trying to build up the Mega. Malrang coming in as well. Wallop goes short. Armut with a good Gnar though, and the follow-up is sublime. A Whirling Death from Unforgiven finds 2. Larssen will be able to get 1 in response, but it's only the support.
And the sleep will land. Can Nisqy get the poke down? Not able to connect. But MAD Lions, they end up trading up with that. Here comes the Nisqy, misses everything.
And Trymbi can just jump on him. Oh, good flash from Nisqy just in time. Trymbi with the lock, he gets himself out. Nisqy will survive. True Shot finds him though. It's the game of long-range ultimates finding kills.
Well, now Rogue's range is finally coming to fruition. 3 kills on the back of Comp, but perhaps it's too little too late. MAD Lions, they do still secure that mid-tier 2. They still have the Infernal Soul, remember. The Baron is still up and available. That It's still gonna last, what, another 30 seconds, 5k up off the back of that. But I can't really get over the fact that, like, Rogue, the early game, I'm not surprised that they weren't more proactive. With the draft that they had, it made sense to me that giving over the third Drake was a little bit concerning, but okay, the fourth Drake, but we saw them not really set up for it. The engage was so scattered, so delayed, and then the force of the Baron, and the fact that it even got stolen away, just... When I think of Rogue from last split, and when I kind of think of Rogue as an organization, control, discipline, well execution, just setting up around objectives is kind of the hallmark of this team, and it feels like that they're just so scattered. This is not the same Rogue that we have so far seen from them this year.
And not the same Mad Lions that we saw in spring either. Armut looking for the chaser, onto Odoamne. Elyoya coming in as well. Odoamne, he's under his inhibitor tower, and Mad Lions will not give him an inch. Armut takes the kill alongside Elyoya. They'll now push down this top bot tier 2, looking for the inhibitor tower. Larssen is not here, does have the TP, but they're going to trade inhibitor for tier 2 now. It's some gold, it's a bounty, but is it enough? Is it beneficial for Rogue in the long run? That's the question. Mad Lions now retreating 5 players strong towards this bottom lane. Larssen continues to farm up. He's very strong on this Azir now, but we haven't really been able to see that Azir, the realized potential that is in this champ right now.
You can see a death cap being completed rather from Nisqy. I wonder, no, he doesn't quite have enough gold. He did just back, but damn. Unfortunately for Odoamne as well, I'm pretty sure he's yet to get a kill in the LEC. His death streak is only continuing to grow. He has had a difficult start to display, along with Rogue, as Mad continue their dominance. Like, I think that everyone expected Nisqy to be an upgrade coming into Summer Split, but to see them with this level of control, execution, I think will surprise many. And I think that it's a warm welcome for many Mad Lions fans, falling 7th place last split, the 2-time LEC champions of last year, and looking in good form. And their mid-jungle support trio seems to be back together again, it feels.
And we see their setup around an objective once again. Deep vision, clear out all the Viver. Rogue can see nothing. The wave's pushed in the bottom lane, there's super minions going in there. Rogue trying to get something in the mid lane, but Mad Lions are collapsing. Trymbi dashes back the Sun Disc there to give them a bit of extra safety. 18 seconds on the Elder. Double super minions pushing in that bot lane. Odoamne is going to have to answer them. Does have the Cannon Barrage, has the TP. Rogue. Last chance Saloon, you have to feel. Last hope for them as Armut goes forward. 6 seconds on the Elder. Nisqy continues to poke and prod his way from long distance. Elyoya goes in, clears out some vision. And Rogue, you just can't give up this Elder, my man. You can't do it. You gotta fight it. Elder started, fast side automation going in, but it's gone.
It's so fast.
The Cannon Barrage comes out, Unforgiven just tanks it with the Immortal Shield Bow, and the Dragon so low, smited secured with a True Shot Barrage. Rogue perhaps have found a little bit of hope in this game. Comp stepping forward, Elyoya has to dash away. One Elder laser finds his mark. Rogue have got no Dragons so far, but perhaps they've got the only one that mattered. Armut chased away, Comp going forward, there's 2. Unforgiven not able to do anything in the midst of 4 members of Rogue. The TP in the middle. No way do they do this. No way do Rogue do this.
Rogue have found 3 kills. They have the Elder Dragon.
Stop the barracks.
Rogue's going to interrupt the back as well.
Only Elyoya in the base. Rogue. Only 1 wave to push in. Malrang continues to stop the ports. Good look for the stun here. I don't know if he's already used the Thundering War. The Elder not enough. The TP away. Comp just needs a bit of damage. Elyoya going in as well. Elyoya will be shut down. 12 seconds on Nisqy. No seconds for Mad Lions. You have to feel. All it took was 1 objective, and then they find the one that matters most. Rogue with their first win of summer.
I am shocked. Comp steals the Elder, and then Rogue wins the game. Wow, I know this meta, like, I've seen games won off of a single team fight before. I remember that game in the LCK, First Blood at 35 minutes, but wow. The decisiveness at the very end there from Rogue to just say, TP mid, go end the game.
Yeah.
That was... I'm going to say, that was a victory that Mad had. That was Mad's game to lose.
They controlled everything. Everything was theirs until that moment.
It was a flawless game from Mad. They lost a single Elder and the game disappeared just like that. It's going to be a frustrating loss for MAD.
Huge win for Rogue in terms of just, like, as much as you can go home and you'd be like, perhaps we didn't deserve that win as much as we would like. Perhaps we just, because of the Elder Soul, we won the game. Picking up a win in the Super Week is big for them, because going 0-3, going into the week and being like, we have to change so much, is such a disheartening experience. For Rogue, of course, getting their first win of the split is huge. For MAD Lions, you look at it and like, well, we just flipped it. We flipped it and we lost the flip, I guess.
Well, I don't even think it was a flip. It got stolen by Ezreal. I mean, wow. Wow. I'm kind of gobsmacked as to how that game ended.
Your key player of the game, post to LEC on Twitter, Larssen comp or Trymbi.
I mean, it kind of has to be comp, right? It has to be comp.
Yep. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean...
yeah, I don't even know what to say after that one. What a way to end the Super Week, though.
That's...
We've had some bangers, but that one is one for the history books in terms of the rapidity at which it ended.
Oh, my words. Oh, God. I kind of want to watch that fight back. I'm so mind blown.
I'm sure we'll see it again.
Because like that was
PGO.
crazy. Wow, and like that's not going to be a win that Rogue is happy with.
Yeah.
But wow, well there we go. That's how we end our Super Week, everyone.
A little bit out of nowhere, but
we've had a banger weekend, that's for sure. It's been we've had some crazy games, some highs and lows. Like MAD Lions were on track to get that 3-0, and then Rogue just steal it away from them. I think there's going to be a lot of questions coming into next week, but I definitely think that if I'm MAD Lions, I'm not going to be too. Like, you did everything right up until the very end.
Sometimes those games just happen. It does mean G2's the only undefeated team in our league now. 3-0, coming off their LEC win in spring. And we have quite an interesting chasing pack, you know? MAD Lions 2-1, Fnatic, Excel, Rogue sitting at 1-2.
Crazy start to the split.
It's been a very fun start to the split. We're going to hand it over to Laure, who is standing by with Trymbi.
Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you, Vedi. And thank you, Trymbi, for joining me after this crazy game. Yeah. Okay, let's take some time to address the fan. They were cheering for you so much. They were so happy you guys turned it around. Tell me about the last minute in the game and the last fight, especially around Elder. How did you make it work out?
Well, I mean, at first we tried to like kind of walk up, right?
Yeah.
So we can actually contest it, not like the other drakes that happened that game. It was pretty hard anyway. I mean, they zoned us pretty well, so we couldn't really get on them. But well, we just, you know, we had to go for the steal because they did it much faster than we expected at first. And they instantly did it, which was good by them. So, but at the end of the day, we actually stole it, which is pretty crazy, right? Yeah. And then we got a team like. I mean, if you lose Drake like this, then yeah, and the wave was, especially the wave on mid lane, we pushed it before it even came to the Drake, so it was easy to end, right? Because we had like 3 TPs as well at the same time. But yeah, overall the game, yeah, a lot of scaling, a lot of doing, felt like nothing, I guess, for some people, right? Because it was just about like moving with tempos and how we like ward and everything, and there was some like misconceptions or we kind of missed our timings, I would say, and it was pretty like hard to play afterwards. But at the end of the day, we actually stole it and we got the game off.
That was impressive, honestly. But tell me more about the mindset, especially you guys were at before that, because coming off an 0-2 in the first 2 days, the game going not so well in the early game. Like, how was the team feeling before you pulled that play?
Well, I mean, I think we still thought that there's a chance we can win, right? Because we had a really good scaling champs. And I would say we had like a better, just better options later on if they don't get the poke with like Zoe and everything. So yeah, we're still pretty confident in the fact that we could easily win out the team fight, especially looking at how our carries were fed, right? Even though we were like, not really, like, I don't know, from my point of view, I was not really too useful, right? Because I couldn't really get on them, but that's just how it was. And I think we did a really good job. Yes. And I think that I'm happy for the team that we managed to actually win that game off, because I for sure can imagine that like everyone felt a little bit frustrated throughout the game just because of the fact that they were in the driving seat, right? For the most part of the game, and we managed to pull it off.
You did indeed, and how important was it for you to end the Super Week on a good note, especially after the first 2 days?
I think the way we ended and the way we actually won, it's like, it's a pretty weird, right? Because in the on the one in the one side you feel like you not like didn't deserve, but it's like they were in the driving seat. But on the other hand, it's just I'm pretty happy that we managed to like just stick around, make sure that we are like best well prepared for like the final moments of the game, and we managed to win, and that's something that I'm proud of my team.
Stay calm and collected. That's what matters, and
Yeah.
that's what comes from experiences. Okay, they've been yelling so much. Is there anything you want to tell them? They were supporting you during the whole game, yelling for you. I don't know if you could hear them, but they were wild, honestly.
Well, thank you, that's for sure. And nothing else comes to my mind, but I really appreciate it.
Trymbi, thank you for the interview. Congrats on finishing Super Week on a good note. We'll see you in week 2, and we're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back in just a few minutes for the post-game lobby with Febiven, Sjokz, and Odoamne. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.